When it comes to propagating woody plants like shrubs in the landscape, it's a little bit harder than propagating some of the herbaceous things. It's pretty easy to divide perennials, and it's also pretty easy to propagate some of the house plants by cuttings, or maybe some coleus and things like that by taking cuttings and getting those to form roots. Well, the shrubs with that woody material, it just makes them a little bit harder to form roots when we do cuttings. Well, one way we can propagate our woody plants in the landscape is a process known as layering. And we're going to try that with this deciduous shrub right here. This is a variegated 5-leaved Aralia. It's a very nice woody shrub for the shaded part of the garden. And by layering, we're talking about taking a branch and bending that branch down to the ground to get it to form roots. So I've got this branch right here, and I'm going to just clear off some of the pine needles and some of the mulch here down to where we get to some bare soil. And I'll show you how we do this. But take a branch that can be bent, and we'll bend that down. If we want, we could dig a little pit and bend the limb into that pit and then pin it. But something like a landscape stake works good, something that you would pin landscape fabric with. You could also make your own out of just a branched twig, one that has kind of a Y shape to it, and you're just kind of turning it upside down and working that into the soil. Now, if you didn't dig a pit to do this, you could pile some compost on top of the limb. That would help hold it in place as well. Now, shrubs will sometimes do this in nature, like maybe a big heavy snow load breaks a limb down to the ground and it's in contact with the ground for quite a while, and roots do form naturally in this way on some of the woody plants. Well, I've got another method that I'm going to utilize with this branch over here. I've already kind of measured it out and dug a hole here. But we're going to try something a little bit different. We're going to put a pot in the ground. That way when those roots form, they will form directly in the pot. So I've dug a hole, you can see right here, and just going to fit this plastic pot down into the ground there. It's got drain holes, and we will fill that with some soil and compost that came out of the hole. We'll get those roots out of there. Just put that in place. And when we pin this, we're hoping those roots will form directly in that pot. But got some of this nice rich soil we'll put in there. And I want to show you one other thing we could also try, another option. That would be to take a pot. It's got some fairly large drain holes in the bottom, like with this plastic gallon pot, and just thread the branch even through the pot and do it that way, and plant the pot and the branch in the ground and get some roots to form inside there. But we're not going to get that fancy with it here. We're just going to pin it to the pot we've got right now. Now, a good time of the year to do this is in the early spring, whenever the leaves are yet to break bud, or just right after they've broken bud, like we've got going with this branch right now. You can see these leaves are still pretty small coming off the branch there, but we'll bring this over and we'll pin it into the pot here. And another thing that will help the plant get roots going is to make a wound, and we're just going to kind of make a little cut here on the underside of this branch. So we've got our wound there. We're just going to put that, maybe take a little bit more soil, strip away the leaves that are going to be there at the ground. We'll put our pin down in the pot, and sometimes you may have to force that through the bottom of the pot, but that's okay. Got some compost here. We'll put that in place. We'll put the mulch back, and another option, if we wanted, we could put a stake in the ground here. Keep that branch up in the sunlight, make sure it gets lots of sunlight on those leaves. Place all this mulch, and then in the fall we'll come out here, we'll check this. If the roots have formed and filled that pot, we'll just snip it loose from the mother plant, pull that up, and go plant our new plant. Layering, process of getting new plants from a woody shrub.
We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. You can also find more recent videos on our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.